Is anybody out there searching for real life? Is anybody
seeking, searching, trying to find solace for your troubled mind? The one thing that will set you free is your authenticity.
I gotta live my life in a way that brings joy to my spirit, celebrates who I am, explores my divinity. Being true to myself helps me peel back the layers to reveal my true identity and unfold my authenticity. I live my life with no regard for the norm. Don't yield to the hype or the quiet storm. Divinely guided, living from the inside out. If you compromise my soul, I got to do without it. I'm in the world with something real to do, and I'm nothing if I can't be true. The only path for me is one of liberty, true justice and authenticity. I gotta live my life in a way that brings joy to my spirit, celebrates who I am, explores my divinity. Being true to myself helps me peel back the layers to reveal my true identity and unfold my authenticity. Significant others granted me a never do well, but I determined not to let another send me to hell. So I rose up before I froze up. Though raising my head caused some to say I had my nose up. I did it my way, the do or die way. Was never ever afraid to hit the highway. Holding on too long was not a problem for me because the goal in my soul. I gotta live my life in a way that brings joy to my spirit, celebrates who I am, explores my divinity. Being true to myself helps me peel back the layers to reveal my true identity.
Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is in your time zone. Welcome back to day 4 of your Authentic Voice Challenge, day 4. So how's everybody doing today?
Awesome.
Authentic, awesome is good. Please put in the chat box your comments from yesterday in terms of, no, take that back. I'm going to ask you today's question is what brings joy to your spirit? The song that you just heard, which I really love, talks about how important it is to live life in joy with your spirit. So what brings joy to your spirit? What brings joy to your spirit? Put your comments in the chat box, please. Connection with nature and family, being with your kids. A call just now from your daughter. No wonder you're looking so happy, Fiona. Music and nature, yes, yes. Engagement with others and nature, yes, yes. The things that bring joy to your spirit. Living in the present moment. Yeah, Kimberly, that's good, yes. So that's important, I think, living life with joy, with your spirit, aligned with your spirit. That to me is what authenticity is, clearly, being in line with it. So I'd like to know if you will just raise your hand and share what happened yesterday when you asked for what that one word was. Did anything happen? You know, we had that profound thing that Abigail went through with her red heart. See any more red hearts, Abigail? Did anybody see anything yesterday? Get any response? Go ahead, Agatha, unmute yourself.
Well, I kind of focused on the name, right?
Okay.
And from some reason, it was the name Gabi. And then later on, I was going through some research through my intercultural contacts and so on. And I decided to register for a webinar. And I hit the button register, and the detailed information about the presenter came out. And it was Gabriela, and it was my friend, actually, Gabi, who will be presenting. So here it was.
There it was, that fast, bam. Ask and you shall receive, bam, just like that, confirmation. Thank you for sharing. Go ahead, Cindy, unmute yourself. Anybody else, you can use the reaction button on the bottom of your screen and you can raise your hand and then we'll call on you. So Cindy, where'd you go? There you go. You're not muted though. You're not muted.
Sorry about that. I'm running a little late today. So I decided that my words were going to be green and trees. And so I was talking to somebody or texting somebody and they said something about green. And I was like, at first it didn't hit me. And then all of a sudden I was like, the light bulb went off and I was like, oh my gosh, that's my word. So, so I got my word. I haven't heard anything anymore though. So I'm on the lookout. And so my family's just back from Oregon. So, and there's lots of trees and green up there. So I'm sure I'm going to get this in conversation at some point.
Well, you got part of it. That's good. I mean, you did ask for a quick request at the first time. So, and you got something. That's powerful. Thank you for sharing. Wonderful. All right, Rico.
Yes, I think what was dominant for me was the fact of the inner voice. And hopefully, I think some of us might take the inner voice for granted or not even recognize it. I've used it for, I don't know, ever since I've been here, you know, like you, since probably 8, 9 years old. You know, you need to do some things, and with a little bit of time, it might be 24 hours, it might be a week or two. If you be patient, it'll get to you.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest takeaway, and that will always be with me. And now I can identify that other me by just being my inner voice.
Great, great. Thank you for sharing, Rico. I appreciate that. Thank you. Powerful, powerful. Fiona.
Can you see that?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Well, it seemed to represent what we've been talking about in terms of authenticity in the center, and it radiates, changes a little bit depending on what it is, and then it just the sort of star birth goes out and continues. I'm planning a course next week, and it's about working with a group of artists and enabling them to look at their authenticity. So I'm really excited about sharing some of the things that I've got from this. Norma, thank you. And I guess I see images, being an artist and a coach, but I see images and metaphor, and I had just eaten this thing about a couple of hours beforehand. It's one of those marshmallow chocolate biscuits. I rarely eat them. They're quite very naughty. And I had this habit of always spreading out silver foil of sweets and things. And as I was asking this question to myself, how can I sort of enable this group to have an image of how this works? There it was, and it just seemed to be an amazing picture. So I share that with you.
Yes, thank you. It reminds me a little bit of labyrinths. I don't know if you know about labyrinths. I'm a labyrinth.
Yeah.
Whole other conversation, but it's related to circles and spirals and paths and what have you. So it's another, and the mandalas that they make that are related as well. So that's beautiful. Yeah. And as an artist, you know, so was that a piece of candy? Oh, that was your sinfulness. You were eating your candy, and that's when it opened up. So that's where sometimes you get surprised. Well, thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to share what their words were and how it worked yesterday? And did you hear anything at all? Anybody? All right. Well, we keep being on the lookout because it does come. It does come. And Rico's comment about being patient is really an important comment, because my path, even though it started at age 8 or started at age 28, it's taken decades for it to totally, fully reveal itself. So you have to be patient, and you just have to be trusting and believe. But now there's revealing. It's like, I've had a wonderful time with you this week, and just seeing what a great time you've had is a wonderful thing. So it definitely pays off. And this is just kind of the beginning of one of my new paths. So keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop. So let me see. Nature family, not yet. Let me see. Just ex inventories. I'm going to try later. Q&A last night. I think any messages saying, folks, yes, thank you for saying that. I apologize for last night's call that we scheduled. We made a mistake, and we scheduled twice, and we gave you one link and we took another one. So it just didn't work. So I guess it wasn't meant to be yesterday, but it is meant to finish up today. So today we're going to talk about we're going to talk about some alignment and helping you look at how your spirit expresses itself. I talked about song and how important it is to bring joy to your spirit. So how do you recognize the joy to your spirit? You kind of got some of that on Tuesday. And now I'm gonna give you another way to kind of recognize how, if your spirit is aligned with your joy, and how you can pick up on other people's energy, other people's spirits. You know how sometimes you meet people and you become instant friends? So I refer to that as people you've been in engagement with in past lives. I have a friend, in fact, who's arriving to visit me today. She is a 23-year-old Chinese young lady that I met 3 years ago when I visited China, and she was in my class. I was doing some training for the university, and she always wanted to come to America. And the way that I'm mentioning her by the power of thought and how your thoughts create your reality. So she wanted to leave China, wanted to move to and live in America. I left in June, and in July, she ended up in San Diego on an exchange student. And so she came to visit me. One of the reasons she wanted to come to America is because she wanted to go to church. And I took her to 3 Black churches one Sunday. And that was a totally new experience for her to see because in China, you can't go to church. You get in trouble if you go to church. You can't even mention God. When I did one of my exercises with her, she learned that she's an existential person, and no one else in the room was like that. But our relationship is very existential. I talk a lot about existential when I get into my program. If you choose that you want to go deeper with the authenticity, you learn about that. But the power of thought again. She came back again and visited. She visited with me twice. Next thing you know, her parents are paying for her to go to college in Kansas. So she spends 2 weeks with me here in LA and then goes to Kansas. She's lonely in Kansas. I tell her, why don't you do a match and start dating? She started dating. Now she's getting married in next month, okay? So the power of thought created all of this for her. The power of recognizing the existential part of life, the power of allowing her spirit to lead her, because it's that joy in her spirit that she felt when she realized about God, when she realized what life can be, that it doesn't have to be the life you're living. And that's the same that I'm saying for you. The power that she got in such a short time in her 23 years that will be lasting for her a lifetime is what you can gain also. And a lot of it comes from what I've shared with you already, and from the power of being in alignment with your spirit, being in alignment with the person that you are. We get out of alignment with our spirit so often as we go through life in the preschool years, as I mentioned, when you're not allowed to express yourself in your natural way, when you get in cubicles that you stay in for a long time, when you get in the manufactured life, when you get on autopilot. So another exercise I'm going to give you today is to help you examine if you are in alignment with your spirit, and also to recognize people who may be more in alignment with you, and just an automatic way that you can recognize that. So let me just see if I have any other notes I want to talk about before we do the exercise. Yeah, so I gave you an exercise, a handout. If you saw your email this morning, you have the handout. And for those of you that didn't, Yuki's going to put it up on her screen, and you can get a piece of paper and you can draw what she's about to put up. And it is, it's just a cross that you're going to put, and you're going to put the top of your paper, the word formal, the top of the paper, top of the line, formal, the bottom of the line, informal, left side dominant, right side easygoing. So take a minute and put that on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be real big. Now, thinking about yourself, make a judgment if you see yourself as more formal or more informal. Formal means more structured, more orderly, maybe more traditional. Informal means, flip-flops, relaxations, casual. So determine where you are. Are you more formal or informal? And the degree that you're more formal or informal. And make a mark on the vertical line. You cannot put the mark in the center. Make a choice. Either you're more formal or informal. Either you're real formal, which you go to the top of the line, or maybe a little bit formal, middle, or just a very little bit right above the center. And likewise with informal. Judge where you are on that vertical continuum. Now do the same on the horizontal. Are you more dominant or are you more easygoing? Dominant people are people who tell a lot, and easygoing are people who ask a lot. Their tendency. Are you more of a teller or an asker, and then to what degree? And then put your two marks together so that they, or join them so that they are in one of those four quadrants. So either you're formal and easygoing, you're in the top right quadrant, you're easygoing and informal in the bottom right, dominant informal in the bottom left, or dominant formal in the top left. And now I'm going to tell you about each quadrant, and so you can identify where you are. So the top right one, the formal easygoing, are people who are more analytical. Write the word analytical up there. These are people who like to have details. They like to have facts. They like to evaluate. They like to assess. They like to know what's going on. They want the details. The good thing about them is they have a lot of information. The challenge that they have is that they sometimes have trouble making decisions because they can see so many angles and perspectives on the decisions. So that might be you if you're in that quadrant. The bottom right, the informal easygoing, are people who are more supporting. They like to support activities. They like to know where you're going and what can they do to help you. These are also people who keep the fun going. They're full of laughter. You get a bunch of them together and you got a party going on. A lot of fun.
Sergeant Wesley Black is not an aberration. Sergeant Wesley Black is veterans across this nation.
Bill, would you mute yourself, please, or Linda, please mute him. Then we've got the bottom left, dominant and informal. And that quadrant are people who are motivational. Those are your idea people. They always have a new idea. Those are your motivation, your highly motivational speakers. Those that give you a lot of rah-rah, make you feel good all the time. And then your top left, dominant formal, are your controlling people, people who like to control. Now, some people take a negative connotation of that, but you need people who, you need controllers in an organization around and just around you, because someone needs to make the decisions and give you the path to go. In an organization, for example, ideas come from the motivational, the bottom left. Then the ideas go over to the analytical, the top right, to figure out, is it a good idea? Analyze it, will it work? Then it goes to the top left, the controlling, this is how we make it work. And then it goes to the bottom right, we'll make it, we'll do it for you, we'll get it out. So with that in mind, think about whether or not the quadrant you put yourself in represents how you see yourself. Do you see yourself as more analytical, more supporting, more motivational, or more controlling? Secondly, think about Tuesday, for those that were on the call Tuesday. Tuesday, I asked you to consider 3 questions that you ask yourself every day. What time is it? What do I want to eat? What do I want to wear? And I asked you to align that with one of the senses. And when you did that, what was your process? And you saw yourself. Was your process more analytical? Was your process more supportive? Was your response from your voice more motivational? Was it more controlling? Think about when you did the gibberish on Monday, when I had you do gibberish to just speak in as a baby, and then speak a silly subject, and then speak about your platform. Did you analyze it first? Were you unable to do it because you wanted to think it through? Were you supportive? Sure, you said, do it, I'll do it, no problem. Were you motivational? Like when I did mine, I'm in the motivational category. So that's why when I did mine, I laughed so much. It just made me, it gave me ideas, and it was funny, and it just, brought that joy out in me. Or are you the controlling? You try to figure out, well, how do I manage this? How do I make this work? How do I do this? How do I structure this? So how does your spirit respond? And then when you did formal, informal, for example, when I did this, if I would have done this 30 years ago, I would have put myself far more on the formal side because I was raised in a formal family, a traditional family, but I was also off balance. Now I'm clearly more on the informal side. I'm not down to the flip-flops, mind you, but I'm a little bit more, more up high, closer to the middle, but I'm more informal than formal in terms of how I used to be. So where are you? And how aligned are you? Is what you saw on these 4, is that aligned with how your spirit answers you when you ask those 3 questions, or the way that you did the gibberish, or even how flexible you were yesterday to accept the unusual experience I shared that I had of seeing Red Sox and Elephant as a confirmation decades after it started. Some people just can't accept that. It's too far out of their analytical system, or their controlling system, or their traditional system, or whatever. So are you aligned? Is the joy in your spirit? The joy comes when the pieces of yourself are going in the same direction, when you are in alignment with yourself. Now, this also is a good tool to assess other people. When you meet people, you can begin to get an assessment of whether they're more analytical. They ask you a ton of questions. Like, for example, when you're, now I'm talking about how you might apply it in your business. So a new client that comes in, potential client, that's asking all kinds of questions, I realize I can't approach them in my rah, great idea perspective. I have to go with them on their analytical piece and give them the details they need to make a decision. So you have to adjust your spirit also so that you are aligned with the people that you are connecting with. And all of that is a part of being your authentic self. If I find that I'm meeting someone as a potential client who is far more analytical than my motivational nature can handle, that is not a good client for me, because I'm not gonna be able to have all the answers that they want. It's going to annoy me that I can't motivate them in the way that I want. So I have to make that judgment and maybe refer them to somebody else that I know that might be a better fit, or someone on my team that's a better fit. So it's important to know you. It's important to know how you can modify you. And it's important to know also what's not in affinity with you. So it's important to know where you are, whether you're formal or not, whether you are informal, whether you're easygoing, whether you're dominant, who you surround yourself with, and also how the alignment and how the integration goes. Are there questions about that? Yes, Agatha, it does depend on the environment that you are in. Absolutely. It also depends on your ability to use a part of yourself to modulate. And then would you please send that message to Linda Walker? Thank you for the message. Just send it to Linda Walker. Thank you. So any comments on that? Anybody have any feedback or questions or thoughts about your what I'm talking about in front? Do you understand what I mean when I say alignment? Make a comment. Please make a comment about what happened in your room by raising your hand using the reaction on the bottom. So who would like to share? I heard some good stuff. Anyone want to share some of that? Go ahead, Rico.
Okay, I want to first thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to go first all the time. And I guess that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Oh yeah, so we had a lot of magic, a lot of dynamics. sharing information. We talked about, you know, the little format, you know, where we are in the different quadrants. Very interesting. We briefly went into the interruption, and we utilized our time to reestablish ourselves. And one of my takeaways is alignment requires realignment. And because things change so often, you have to address those changes. And it feels good because then that's where I get my joy from. Now, I'm going to stop my presentation because the other two participants found a common number, and I'll let them speak on that number, which is 22.
That's Linda's number.
Yes.
Who are the two? Who are the 22 girls? Who are the 22 people?
Mr. Leland.
Oh, Leland. Okay, go ahead,
Yeah.
Leland.
Yeah.
Yes,
Leland.
I read years ago that the fountain of youth is within. And all you need to do is choose an age that you're comfortable with, and you hold that number steadfast in mind. So ever since I read that, I, did my analysis and I chose 22. I've been 22 for the last 30 plus years.
Oh, as your age. Okay, I get it. I love it. I love it. Who's the other 22?
That was Abigail.
That'll be Abigail, yeah.
So that's the number
Abigail.
in my email, which he picked up on and said, oh, what's going on with 22, which 22 is just a number that I have an affinity with. But the funny thing is that I have been, I can't explain the whole thing because it's too much to explain, but I have been looking back, going through this writing process where I'm looking back at different parts of my life and trying to identify where I was really resonant. And I really do think once Leland said that, I really do think that 22 was a place that I was very in alignment and resonating. So I have got to now go back and really look at that year in my life to see what was happening. Because I do actually think that was that there's something in that for me. So that, again, that was amazing. I've had a lot of really cool things in this group.
Wow. Abigail, you just kicking it big time.
Abigail's 2 for 2, but I just want to jump in and say that my number has been 22 for like 40 years also. So
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
And let me just reiterate for those that don't know numerology, 22 is a power number. Your double number, 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, those are power numbers. So if your numbers are those double numbers in any way, that's powerful. It's powerful. Powerful. For me, whenever 11 particularly is a very powerful, that's a number of angels. And whenever I see a 211, like 11 or like 1111 or 101 or 111, I just stop for a minute and pause and give homage and think about what I'm thinking about at the moment and what that means to me. Because there's so many ways the universe speaks to you. And that's part of what I'm sharing with you, different ways to understand, to read, to communicate with yourself. Did someone raise their hand or is it too? Okay, I don't see that. Oh, Deborah, okay, oh, yours is some meaning, okay, go ahead.
Hi, we had a very special time because it was a kind of reconfiguring and how to just be with each other and discover each other. And it turned out to be very intense and very beautiful. So I want to thank Agatha and Diane, who shared a lot about what was going on for her. And it was just this way of interconnecting. I wasn't there during the incident, but there was just this lovely sense of, because of what we've been talking about, we didn't do anything that we were meant to do, but there was a sense that we did what we needed to do for each other as quickly as we could. And I think we maybe wouldn't have done that so quickly if we hadn't been putting this framework in place of authenticity and seeking out that magic and that moment. That's what it felt like to me. I'd be interested to hear what Diane or Agatha has to say.
I know Agatha probably has comments. Go ahead, Agatha.
I just would like to say that it was something that I really needed, right? This connectiveness and talking what actually is on our hearts. And it was really powerful and healing in a sense.
Yes, yes, it is healing. It is healing. And I do have a belief that everything happens for a reason. So the interruption that we had was probably a way for us all to look at our own authenticity, because interruptions happen in life all the time, unexpectedly. And with this craziness that's going on in the world today, there's more and more interruptions that are even more damaging, more powerful, or could be more damaging. But so much is how you choose to deal with it. And I know I choose to deal with things to keep joy in my spirit. Always, always. I find the positive things in everything. Now, I don't know what was positive about that. Maybe tomorrow I may have a perspective on it, but the pause did help us give a chance to just stop and look at ourselves for a minute and how we dealt with that. Some of you were very angry. Some of you shrugged it off. Some of you had immediate ideas of what to do. Some of you had immediate impressions of what's going on. Some of you found out right away. So I would encourage you to just examine what your own feelings were and how do you let disruptions, how do you let them float off of you so you maintain the joy, maintain the joy, maintain the joy. The joy in
I did find it. Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I did find an external mic, so I can I can say something. In the breakout, it was very, very good. This was my first time coming to the group. And as I was telling my partners, I came looking for peace and quiet, and my mother and I had COVID, as I told the my participants, and she didn't make it. We were in the hospital together, and she died, and I was in there for 3 more weeks. So I am really just now surfacing and trying to just hear my inner voice and get back to myself. It's a very surreal time and very, it's just a surreal moment. And so I came to the group, to this event, to find peace and to be able to hear what's inside of me, because everything got shut down and cut off. And I don't know what happened during those weeks of being ill and my mother passing. So, and everything was so sudden. It was absolutely no warning. And this was something that I was looking forward to. So the interruption threw me off. I was already sort of off, but this was like, it was sad. That's why I put down the reaction was sad, but I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. I'm glad that your microphone finally worked, because I know it's hard to communicate through chats alone.
Yes.
And you're very creative. And I was
Norma,
yes.
Norma, if you could kindly put the link to the assessment, to the authenticity assessment in the chat, because we were sharing it with Diane and she would like to take it.
Yes.
So it would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, Linda or Yuki will put it on the chat for you.
Thank you.
But Diane, I would want to encourage you to have, oh, Peggy's got her hand raised. Peggy just went through some stuff too recently. Peggy, go ahead. You're muted, you're muted.
We just thought we'd just throw this out, that if we got hacked, that we have to really be careful that we have a debugger to make sure that that they might have left something. They might have left something on our computers. Who knows? We just wanted to throw that out.
Okay, that's a thought. Maybe I was thinking Peggy and Diane would have a conversation at some point, because Peggy just went through some stuff that was an existential illness that totally transformed her. So sometimes you don't know what, and I know I've had 13 surgeries in my lifetime, and every one of them had a spiritual connection. So when things happen like that, there's usually some kind of deep spiritual connection. So just wanted to put that up.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, I'm going to tell you about your inventory for tonight. Actually, yeah, actually it's pre-work for tomorrow. And it's for you to kind of look at how you talk to yourself. So we talked before about the fleeting thoughts that come through you when you're listening to your inner voice. There's also fleeting things that you say to yourself. Sometimes you don't even realize you're saying them. I was doing a presentation once at a corporate environment for 90 minutes, and I made the decision to do my best to try to remember what I said to myself when I was doing the presentation. And when I finished, I sat down and wrote down everything I could remember saying to myself. And in my room that evening, I looked at my list and I was amazed that of the 30 things that I wrote, 29 of them were negative. You didn't say this right. You didn't do this right. You could have answered him differently. You didn't turn the right way, just all kind of stuff. And I said, well, dang, no wonder I don't have my life anymore. No wonder I don't have the joy that I want to have. Look what I'm saying to myself. So I want you to look at what you say to yourself. It's kind of hard sometimes to acknowledge it and find out what it is because you say it so quickly. And sometimes it's habit. You know, one thing I learned in my early childhood years is that when a child hears a negative, every negative a child hears, they need to hear 5 positives to counterbalance the negative. So no wonder we're all so negative to ourselves, because at 2 and 3, we had to be told, no, don't do this, stop, all that kind of stuff. And then we didn't get enough to counterbalance it. So you can counterbalance it yourself. But first, look at what you're saying to yourself. So your homework tonight is to just see, just as you go through, I think I gave you an exercise, if you have trouble doing it on a regular basis, on a day-to-day, as a moment-to-moment basis, as you're going through your day, then call somebody tonight. Call one of your friends and just see if you can hear what you say to yourself that you don't say out loud, but just how you might be putting yourself down or how you may be responding. It's in your subconscious. We talk about your thoughts make your reality. So sometimes you don't realize how negative your thoughts are. So I want you to look at that tonight and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Any questions? Yes, go ahead, Shelley. Unmute you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I have a funeral tomorrow morning. It's at 11, so I probably won't make the 12 o'clock. And I'm so sad about it. Well, it's 12 o'clock here for me, not 9 for you. It's 9 for you, it's 12 for me. And I'm so sad that I might not be here, but I'll watch the replay for sure if you send it to me.
Yes, you'll get the replay. Please watch it. Anyone you missed, anyone that you've missed, this replay should be there. I encourage you to watch it. I think every day has been fantastic. You've been a great, great group to be working with, and I've enjoyed it considerably. And we still got one more day together and maybe more. So I'm hoping we'll have more time together than just tomorrow.
Thank you.
Christine, Yuki, she always throws me with that Christine on there. Yuki.
Hi, before we do finish, I just wanted to go on a lighter path. I wanted
Are you going to show your camera? Are you going to open your camera?
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to go on a lighter path, just smoothing things out. I wanted to announce the winner for today. And the winner is Natasha Child. Congratulations, Natasha. I'll be sharing my screen real quick.
Natasha, you can bring your camera on if you want to show us your smile. Go ahead. Go ahead, Yuki.
All right. And
wow.
You get to win a free 30-minute call with Doc V and her guide to connecting the dots. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. That's an amazing prize. Do you know what? You were just saying, Norma, you know, listen to what you're saying to yourself. I just got up and I thought I'll put my camera off, so I'm going to just do something in a second.
Sure.
And I was thinking, well, it won't be you that wins the prize. And then I heard my name. Oh my God.
Yuki, share why she was selected for the winner.
You were actually selected because you are definitely awesome. You comment on everything. You've been very participative in the group. I mean, all of you actually have been very participative in the group, but Natasha recently have been, on and on every post. I see your name everywhere. So I really want to thank you for being very participative and bringing light to the group as well.
And tell everybody how they can, we have one more prize for tomorrow. And how can they win a prize, Yuki?
You just have to be like posting what you get. You can go post on the group with hashtag Norma's Nuggets. Make sure you do your homeworks. We would be sending that through the email by 12 Pacific time. And I guess that's it. Just participate every day.
And put the link to the Facebook group in the chat, please. Everybody can have that. So you want to post in the chase in the Facebook. Give us any comments about today. Today was kind of different because we weren't totally in control. We had to step into another vein and roll with it. So any comments you have, how that impacts your own authenticity, any thoughts you have, we'd be very happy to hear. So I thank you, and I
just
will,
second.
yes.
Also, save the live chat if you'd like. And Lynn, who has been volunteering to send the chat to whoever is on a cell phone and can't save it, if you want to let me know at support@normahollis.com that you'd like a copy of the chat, let me know.
All right, thank you all. Have a great authentic day, and I will see you all tomorrow morning, except Shelley, but I'll see the rest of you tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Take care. Have a good one.
Thank you so much, Norma. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.